Greetings. I am very happy to be back for our second Wing Chun workshop. First time we cover very basic technique, but representing Wing Chun techniques, okay, fundamental technique of Wing Chun, because from the movies to application, you see these vertical punches, okay? So we cover the main topic for that particular technique, but I also introduce some background information on Wing Chun. We'll continue to do that, okay? Let me introduce my partner and assistant today. Then we will get this rolling here, okay? So Sifu Scott Stapleton, okay? He runs a very successful school in Indiana, close Greenfield, Indiana, which is next to Indianapolis. Himself, experienced teacher, competitor, gold medalist nationally in Wing Chun, as well as international competitors. So, okay. Now, typically when we run a class, okay, we do warm-ups, okay? Getting your muscle warm up, heart rate up, and then stretch it out. Of course, this is a special workshop. We're not going to go through that, okay? So there could be other expert panels on this particular topics, warming up, basic fundamentals, so forth, okay? So, but this gives me more time to explain, okay? So I want to explain, okay, Wing Chun comes from Southern Shaolin Temple, and there are some traditions, okay? When you see us bow here, you know, it's typical of any traditional Kung Fu, okay? But in Wing Chun, okay, so we have a saying, 青龍白虎. So green dragon on the left, white tiger on the right, okay? So the right hand, okay, is the fist. This expresses the tiger. What is tiger in traditional Shaolin Wing Chun? Or coming from the Shaolin Temple, it expresses the actual action or what we call experience. The open hand is the green dragon. That is the mental and the emotional part of it. So dragon, like right now I'm explaining, so you understand that's dragon, okay? So from your mind, it typically triggers emotion. Or a passion, you're excited or you're upset, whatever, okay? So the mind and the heart are linked, okay? So when we say Xin Fa or the heart methods, it actually not just talking about the heart emotion, but also that is the mental, okay? So the Xin Fa, the heart methods, okay, is actually the dragon, which is the understanding, and then the fist, which is the tiger, which is the experience. So with that said, you know, we, the Sifu, the teachers, we are only a guide. Like Bruce Lee said in the movies, it's like a finger pointing to the moon, okay? This actually is coming from the Southern Shaolin Temple, Chan Buddhism. Okay, we guide you towards the direction, but you have to experience and understanding the reality or the truth. So your true teacher is your tiger, your experience. Your true teacher also is your dragon, your understanding. So your true teacher is your experience and your understanding, and we simply are the guide. So we don't make conclusions for you, okay? You have to understand and experience that. So this is our typical Shaolin Wing Chun bow, coming from the Shaolin Temple. 青龍白虎 or 青龍白虎 or green dragon, white tigers, okay? And the mind controls everything. So the mind covers the fist. Also, this is part of the Shaolin traditions. Compassion, okay? Fighting, struggle, challenge is part of reality. It's not a good or bad, it happens, okay? So, but we do everything to try to cover the aggression. We don't train, we don't need to train you to be aggressive as a good fighter, okay? There is a higher purpose of training, which is to develop ourselves, and part of that is compassion, okay? So with that said, this gives us really the meaning of how we bow, okay? So last week, we started with the vertical punch, which is a very effective, fast, straight, and also very strong too. The strength comes from its skeleton, the shape of the triangle, okay? But most of the mistake made, this is a short distance. So when you try to hit somebody with a short tools and a long distance, you're always going to get hit first, okay? So at this particular range, we call this the 9 gates or the Wing Chun range. So I'd like to go ahead and kind of start with this first, okay? So the dragon part of this workshop, the theory and understanding, I want to go deeper into the gate theory, okay? So if I square up to you, I have my center, okay, the inside center, yin, and then we have the left side and the right side. So you have 2 outside and 1 center, inside. So this is yang, this is yin, this is yang. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and low, 7, 8, 9. So you got 9 zones, right? We call this 9 gates. Right? So when you're dealing with somebody who is close to you, friendly, and typically when you have a conversation or when you do something that requires your focus, right, you naturally square up to it, right? If I'm going to play a piano, I'm not going to play it like this. If I'm driving and racing a car, definitely I need to square up. So, and if you're talking to a person you like, you're going to square up. So this is what is natural for us, for human. So it is human fighting humans. So this is most natural and most efficient posture that we have. But the thing is, this posture only goes out to this far away if you were going to use both hands. Now, I can extend, but if you see, as I extend, I'm turning my body. So now you have the posture that created what we'll call long and short. This hand is short. I can't really go out until I bring this hand back. So this is called long range. In traditional Shaolin Wing Chun, this is called heaven range. And this is called human range. And then when you're dealing with grappling today, that's called earth. So Tian Ren Di or Tin Yan Dei. This is a heaven, human, earth concepts. Okay, so 9 gates. Then if I turn my body slightly, I gain the distance. But I lose half of my body, okay? So this is like 45 degrees. You see it typically a lot of fighters fight from here. This is called 6 gate. Now, if I turn completely, you see, I see a lot of taekwondo do that because, it's a kicking sport. They typically turn their body completely sideways. This is called the 3 gates, 6 gates, and 9 gates, okay? So the gates are mechanics of the human body. And also later it expand to tactics for applications. So I'm gonna have Sifu Scott come in here and we're gonna expand on that, okay? So if we are having a partner drill, let's say Sifu Stapleton is gonna do the vertical punch, he's gonna throw the punch, and I am going to work on a technique. Let's say Pak Sau. Pak in Cantonese, okay? By the way, most of the term we speak in Wing Chun are Cantonese because it's populated in the southern part of China, okay? And it really went out to the international arena through Hong Kong, okay? So today, most of the language of Wing Chun is from Cantonese. So Pak Sau, okay, means slapping hand. So I am doing a Pak Sau drill, which is slapping. So as a defensive hand, I'm slapping, but I'm not really thinking about blocking. So I'm thinking about occupying my center. If my hand's on center, his fist is going to be somewhere else, okay? So this is a typical drill for most of what we call bridging technique, which is today's topic, okay? So last week, or the first exercise, first lessons, we went over a striking technique. Okay, you could strike with the hands, the arms, the elbow, the knees, all those are strike. But today, The second skill set of Wing Chun is called bridging. Qiu Sau, Chao So, bridging hand. Okay? So I'm just using one technique to express the concept of bridging. So for exercise, for drilling, we square up. Okay? Right. Now, right now we are doing 9-gate versus 9-gate. Okay, so later I'm going into application, you're probably going to see something like this. So if suddenly, let's say Sifu Scott, suddenly he approached me with a punch. So I am no longer squaring up to him. I am actually facing his side. So I am still 9-gate, facing his 3 gates. Now the advantage of that obviously is what we call, in Wing Chun, Shaolin Wing Chun, we call that superior space and time. Okay, so what is superior space and time? Okay, I went from a similar position. I mean, he can hit me just as good as I can hit him, but if he's faster, then I lose. So how are you going to beat someone who's faster? You have to have a better position, which gives you better time. So if he punched me and I punch him still squaring up, he can quickly engage me with both sides again. Okay? So that means we're coming from the same position, okay? No advantage. So in application, I want to use my gates theory. As soon as I engage him, I want to have more gates facing less gates of my opponents, right? So the application is, boom, I'm over here. So now I have 9-gate versus 3-gate. So obviously, he still has the right side, but he really has to turn back into it, which basically I'm already there. So this is understanding position. So when you are in fighting, reality is that it's not supposed to be fair. Real fight not supposed to be fair. You're supposed to gain a superior position, superior structure, everything, then you fight. In sports, which is competition, a contest of games, you need to have the rules and everything has to be fair. That's called sportsmanship. Okay? So in reality, fighting is not supposed to be fair. So I always want to use the gate theories, have more gates facing my opponent's gates where he have less. Okay? Now this works on the inside too. If he throw me a hook, you see, if I stand right here, his other hand can come right back and I have to deal with that again. Now, how do I gain that superior position again? Again, same. I move over to the side. Again, I'm having my 9-gate. That means both my hands, both my feet can touch him, but I create a distance now. So now he has to completely shift. Boom. Okay, so this is a little bit more understanding of the gates. Now, 3-gate, 6-gate, 9-gate, which one's better? People are always like, oh, which one's better? Which one's, what is real Wing Chun? Wing Chun is for fighting. What makes Wing Chun good is it has to be consistent with the reality of fighting. It's not let's say you go shopping or you go to a restaurant, you pick out things that you like. You don't do what you like, but you do based on what is the reality of the moment. And what is the most important reality of the moment is the here and now. So in fighting, that's why this is a Shaolin art. In fighting, they are flowing or keep changing with the here and now. Okay, and when you talk to a monk, they always talk about here and now. So what is the most important here and now? Okay, we call that time and space. So the most important time is now. The most important here is space. Okay, so this is kind of the philosophical understanding of Shaolin Kungfu. Okay, so now going back. Okay, if with this far away and I square up to him, that means I am completely defensive because I cannot reach him. So in order for me to reach him, I have to take a step in. So that means I have to travel, and travel takes time. So if I attack far away, that means he have gained time to react. I lose time to travel. So typically when we're facing opponents that is far away, I either do a 9-gate facing or as far as I can even do a completely sideways 3 gates facing. Why? Because right now, I can actually hit Sifu Scott, okay? All right, so if Sifu Scott throwing that short vertical punch, what we covered last week, he's not gonna do anything, it's not real. But look, that's real. So that means my jab already hit him. This is 3 gates. So for long distance, we call it heaven space, you need to have a heaven posture, 3 gates or 6 gates. But since we engage, okay, now we're in the human space, I need to be in the human posture, okay? And if Scott knows how to grapple, he's gonna clinch me, right? Then if I get caught standing up like this, in a split second, I'm gonna go down. So I need to quickly shift back down to a 6 gate. Okay, 6 gate, that means I drop, sink low, okay? So that means I lose the top 3 gates, okay? So hopefully this explains the gate theory of Wing Chun, okay? Not like in a movie, all you see is always this, okay? That's movies, okay? They want to focus on the characteristic, the style of Wing Chun. But in applications, you have to adjust. So from 9 gates to 6 gates to 3, and then to 6 gates, okay? So with that said, the theory of gate theory is how you face your opponents, also how you address the right mechanics. Now, if you're learning a style, say, okay, my style is this. That means you're always gonna fight this way. You're stuck. That's why you have this term called mixed martial arts. Why you mix things, right? In the real world, you never go up to the police and military people and say, hey, what style do you guys do? Right? You don't go to the military guy and say, oh, is Air Force style better than the Navy style? So this is kind of public thinking. Fighting, you gotta learn a style and then you'll kind of have a fixed pattern to fight because fighting is not fixed. So in reality, all traditional Kung Fu, from Tai Chi all the way to Wing Chun, it's a traditional martial art that teaches you all ranges of combat, okay? So style is the expression of the artist, where right now I'm explaining the theory, which is the science objective base of fighting, okay? If you're human standing square up, that's 9 gates. So it doesn't matter what background of martial art you study, you go like this, you're in the 9 gates. But if you're going to be in 9 gates, you got to know the advantage and the disadvantage. If I'm turning sideways in the 3 gates, I got to know my advantage and the disadvantage. That's called mechanics. You have to understand the mechanics, okay? All right, so that will be today's lessons on the dragon part, the theory, the understanding, okay? So our main topic for today for the tiger, which is the physical technique, is bridging, okay? Pak Sau, I said it last time, is well known in the southern Shaolin temple, okay? Hung Guard, Hong Kun, Choi Lei Fut, okay? White Crane, okay? Bak Mei, all this, okay? Southern Prime Mantis, they all have a famous bridge hand, okay? So it's a skill set, okay? So let me explain something first, okay? So for example, if he punched me and I want to defend myself, I blocked. In that split second, arm and arm make contact, that's called a bridge. Now, if he punched me and it hit my face, that's not a bridge, that's called a strike, okay? So, but most people, don't study Southern Shaolin Wing Chun, or they don't study a particular traditional Kung Fu that has the bridging skill. They miss this opportunity. For them, this becomes just a block, and then I either counterattack or he attacks me again. So for us, okay, for Southern Shaolin Kung Fu like Wing Chun, a bridging hand, there's a reason for that. Later, that bridge can translate into a capture, or I can use the bridge for many other skill sets. So it's an extra skill set when you have a bridge. I can use the bridge to hit his arm, or I can use the bridge to absorb the power, or I can use the bridge to go into grappling, or I can use the bridge to create a better positions, okay? So this is a separate skill set of Wing Chun called Qiu Sao. Every system has striking skill, we call that San Sao or Sanda, okay? So Qiu Sao. And later, okay, we have grappling of Wing Chun called Qi Qiu. So there's many skill sets. So now, if you are already learning Wing Chun, typically almost every Wing Chun school start you out with certain punches, certain kicks, certain stances. Then the next thing they show you is bridging hand. And typically, coming from the popular system of Yiman system, right? They start out with the Pak Sau, okay? Pak Sau is simply, okay? It's a slap, okay? It doesn't mean pop. It's a clap, okay? So for basic movements, if you're first learning this, we start out with squaring up, okay? So again, okay, see for Stapleton, he's gonna punch his center, he's working on his structure, okay? Like if he starts going up and down like this, that's not correct, okay? So he's going to go straight, shortest distance between two lines is straight line, okay? And what I'm doing is minding my own business. What's my own business? Occupy center, okay? Now if you punch somewhere else, my hand already trained to go to center. So I don't want to give up this high ground, okay? So when you square up, the center is your high ground, okay? So this is the first idea. So I'm using Pak Sau to occupy my center. So we don't normally say, okay, you know what? I'm showing you a blocking technique today. Actually, in Wing Chun, we don't block. We either parry or intercept, or we bridge, okay? So block is kind of strictly defensive. We kind of have a little bit more functions behind our technique rather than just strictly defensive. Okay, so this is more of a parry technique. I am redirecting him. Now, bridging hands, we start with the hands because later you learn how to develop sensitivity, and the hands is used for a lot of things, right? You can use it for grabbing and so forth, okay? You can use it for capture and so forth, So we start with the hand, then later on we work the forearm. From the hand to forearm, when we engage bridge to bridge, that's still Qiu Sao, okay? So this is called Pak Sau. As a basic exercise, we do this, right? If we add the Pak Sau with the last week's technique called Pak Da. Now, if you look at this angle, okay, right. If I'm going to punch him, my punch becomes the center. Okay? If I'm just defending, my pak is on the center. If I punch him, the punch becomes the center. Okay? So that is, again, use of the center line concept. Okay? So now, being a special workshop, right? It's not like you come into class, 2-3 times a week. So we kind of have move along pretty quick. We have Pak Sau, Tan Sau, Bong Sau, Wu Sau, Biu Sau, all of this. Now, notice I'm watching you. Let's say if Scott pick up his speed, well, I throw with him because it's based on my touch. Okay, he stops, I stop. Okay, so this is the reason we practice Qiu Sao. One is learn the technique. Two is develop that sensitivity, which also develop the attributes of timing and so forth and so forth. Okay, power is always in the equation, but comes later. Okay, so Pak Sau can be deflect the incoming attack. Okay, but watch this. If Scott were to come in with a jab, boom! If I use a slap, go straight to his face, that is no longer Qiu Sao, even though it's the same technique. So if I just go straight to the target and hit his vital body, the head, then it becomes Sanda. But if I use it way to bridge, then it becomes Qiu Sao. Okay? So I want all the martial artists to understand technique is the tool, right? But the different concept here, one is for striking, one is for bridging. And they eventually It's a skill set. Okay, so if you as a fighter, you only got striking skills, kicking skill, but you don't have bridging skill, and you go against someone that's got both, you're gonna lose. Okay, so like wrestlers, jiu-jitsu, tai chi, Wing Chun, all those people that spend a lot of time rolling, bridging, pushing hands, that is for sensitivities. Okay, so Wing Chun use Pak Sau as a way to link all the skill sets together, which we're going to cover in the future, okay? But most of the time, Wing Chun community always put a lot of time into Pak Sau, or people understand, Wing Chun guys always go with Pak Sau. They stick to each other and grow. So we have to understand really the skill set of Wing Chun, and then what is the purpose of Pak Sau, how it all come within one package, right? How's the applications. So Pak Sau is bridging. All right. So if you have any questions, you can obviously ask me at the end of this workshop, but we're going to move on. So let's look at how many ways you can use the Pak Sau as a way for applications, okay? So when I say applications, I mean, this is not applications. Nobody fights like this. So if you drill like this for 10 years and you never really go outside of this, and you're just doing this for exercise, you're going to have a good hands for sensitivity, this and that, but that does not mean you can apply or have fighting skills, okay? So understanding applications, this is how you apply it. So in sparring class, okay, if you're going to engage your opponents, this is how we're going to use Pak Sau. This right here is just developing your tools. Then later, once you have Pak Sau the tools, you still have to learn how to apply your tools. Just like, if I give you a gun and they're coming into 50 pieces and you got to take time to build it together. So once you put the guns together, you have a gun. Now you have the technique. But doesn't mean you know how to shoot. Most people, they have a gun, they say, oh yeah, I got a gun now, but they never shoot. So shooting part is the real skill. And, in martial art, we spar to get the skill. That's why, we have a Sanda workshop in this series of workshop. Sanda is a sport, but overall, Sanda is a method to learn the application of, for a lot of our traditional techniques. Okay? So it's not like, okay, you do your traditional form, that's traditional martial art. And then as soon as you do Sanda, then it's not traditional anymore. No. Sanda, not a style, not an art. It's a competition format to test our skill, to develop our traditional methods of fighting, okay? So let's look at all the different applications of Pak Sau, which is slapping hand, okay? So typically, if we were engaging, okay, my hands could be anywhere, but let's just say I just kind of have a typical look, or we call Zhong Sau, structure hand of Wing Chun. Right? If Scott were to come in, right, then this is a parry. That means redirect. Okay? Now, do you see he's actually outside the range? Then why do I need to parry his hand if the range is not there? Because I use this hand as a way to find out the distance. Okay? Now, if he just throw a punch, and you see, I'm acknowledging his punch. But in reality, hold it there, I don't need to block this, it's too far away. But when I touch his hand, I know he's in my kicking range. But if he come closer, and I pop close to his elbow, then I know he's in my human or short distance range, and then pop out, the punch will come out. If I go pop like this, and he draw his hand back, you see how far I am? This punch won't work. This is where a lot of people make their mistake. Now, imagine I throw this punch at him, all he has to do is just extend his cross and knock me out, right? So this is a distance problem. So I'm using Pak Sau number one to gauge the distance, then the right technique comes out. But of course, parry, redirect, right? Now, I want to make a distinction, at least what we teach, okay? He punched me, let's say he gave me a hammer fist. And I go like this. This is called a block. Okay, arm versus arm, not bad. But if he's like having a baseball bat, Still better than hitting my head, but then my arm's gonna break, right? So blocking is like the Great Wall of China. You know, it's outdated. It's static, okay? It's force against force, okay? So we don't really use Wing Chun technique for blocking. A lot of time you see Wing Chun, oh, we have Tan Sau block, we have Bong Sau block. It's not a block because it's not stationary. So watch my Pak Sau. Upon contact, once I make contact, it's shifted. I can shift it to the side, I can shift it down, I can even shift it away or up. Okay? So when you make contact and then you guide it away, so it's not a hard crash and it's not a block, it becomes a parry. And most of our techniques are used to parry, redirect, or to intercept. If you're late, you parry. If you're early, you intercept. Okay? So Pak Sau is used for gauging the distance. Right? So based on where I contact, I know what technique to use. And at the same time, I'm parrying and redirect. Okay? So this is first application of Pak Sau. Again, if you have questions later, we're going to second application. Okay? Now you notice I'm slapping him. In the art of Wing Chun, you know, we have the Mok and Zong. We use it to condition our arms, and we do a lot of bridging. The idea is to develop short distance power as well as release of power. Okay, so when we talk about slap, it's not defensive. If I hit his arm, that's redirect. There's no impact, soft. Okay, but if I want to go young, have impact, right? That actually is strike. Okay, we call strike the strike. Okay, so Pak Sau is not just defensive. Okay, so that could be. Now, if I missed, right? Guess what? See where my hand is? I still have the high ground into my center. I can quickly follow up or change something else. So we can use to parry for distance, and we can use for strike. You know, for efficiency, what Wing Chun's all about. You know, if I have a good angle, if I'm moving out where I have my facing, where he don't have my facing, literally, I can just use, you see why Wing Chun elbow is always down? Because the elbow acts as a defense, and I still have the offensive. But if my elbow's out, he punched me, he hit me, I hit him. It's not good. But soon my elbows are in, that gate is covered, it's shut. Okay? That is the same reason we punch like this. Okay? So last week, right? If Sifu Scott punches me, see, I'm using punch versus punch. I don't need to use two hands versus one hand. So I deflected him, I'm in. Okay? So the Pak Sau is the same. So you can use Pak Sau for striking, that's other applications. Now, Pak Sau can be very effective if somebody try to, let's say, gain control by capture, grappling, right? Chinese art of grappling called Kam Na or Chin Na. It's not almost every traditional martial art have Kam Na. So it means capture and control. I mean, if you're going to submit, choke, you got to capture something first, okay? So we have a way to develop our bridge hand fast enough and sensitive enough to capture a moving arm or a static arm, okay? So Pak Sau is very effective for counter grappling, okay? So for example, if Sifu Scott is right hand high, right? So Pak allow me to quickly take away and I'll put myself in position to attack. Right? So Pak. Okay? So other hand, right. Okay? So Pak. Okay? Pak. Okay? So a lot of time, even if you say, okay, yeah, you have a different release technique, right? But because we want to quickly turn defense into offense, right? If I use the energy correctly, one hand pop, one hand down. So anytime he grabs it, right, I don't have to, okay? So the Pak Sau is there, right? So anytime you feel that fingers on your arm, Pak Sau is very effective. So this is also used for anti-grab, okay? So Pak Sau for striking, for anti-grab, for distance, for parry, but also Pak Sau can use for opening up their defense, okay? So let's say, we're doing a typical sparring match. He's got a good guard. You're not going to hit his guard, okay? So you want to kind of give him a surprise. And this sometime maybe the modern day fight sport, they're not using this. I don't see it, right? Normally, you don't see people kind of smack their hand away, right? Now, if you do hard enough, sudden enough, that kind of like a shock or kind of freezes you. This is where I can go in with the punch. So it's to open up the defense, right? So I smack it hard, then quickly go in, okay? For example, let's do a cross side. Okay, let's do, okay? So let's say if I punch him and he's gonna just put up a guard, right? That's in my place. Typically, I can go to the second target, okay? But Wing Chun is efficiency, I wanna use that momentum. If I'm going upstairs and he blocks it, I wanna keep that momentum going. So it looks like this. Okay, so here I am punching, he blocked it. So there goes Pak Sau to open up. So if he defend again, boom, boom. You see, this is just how the Pak Sau open up the doors, right? Okay, so I'm keeping that forward momentum going, allow me to maintain in a short distance. So Pak Sau can take away his defense as well, okay? So many variations of drills for different applications. But typically when you see this is how we start out beginners. What I just shown you are some of the application of Pak Sau. They're not limited to just those few, okay? So I want to go back to the basics of Pak Sau, slapping hand, but what we're developing is skill, Sau's skill. So I'm going to show you a couple variations, right? So you could stand for beginners, do Pak Sau. You can change Pan Sau. You can do Wu Sau. You can do Biu Sau. You can even do a Bong Sau. So you can mix it up. You can do double techniques. Okay? This is like beginners Wing Chun for bridging. Now, later, you start moving. Okay? So we maybe expand the angle a little bit bigger. So let's say we do next step up, right? We go back and forth. So sit for Scott with step 3 punches. Right now I go. So now we start developing the timing and the power. He can go soft or he can go hard. Well, that's soft, or you can have impact, right? So punch again. So now I change, Pan Sau, Tanda, or Biu Sau. So different technique, different tools, but the skill is still bridging, okay? So imagine you put hours and hours of bridging technique. By the time, right, as soon as you engage your opponents, that muscle memory comes out, or that bridging skill comes out. Okay? So this is added tools rather than just striking. Hey, you know what? If you don't put a hands up, you hit him. Sanda is good. All right, just hit him. If he put a hands up, then you have bridging skill to take away, to redirect, to grab, to control. Okay? So all this variation give you more options. Okay? So for Wing Chun, bridging hand is representation of Southern Shaolin Kung-Fu, Q, Sau. And Pak Sau is one of the introduction techniques of that. Now, what if you don't have a technique or I mean, you don't have a partner to train. We have a result, okay? So, 木人桩 is Cantonese for one-man pillar. Pillar, 桩 in Chinese is structure. You see this? It's not hollow, it's solid. So when you hit this, nothing's going to break. So this is also concept of Wing Chun. We want to develop our bridge hand. So by the time you engage your opponents, you have a very strong structure. Hopefully theirs is weak. Okay? So with that said, I'm going to have a Sifu Stapleton to go over some Mok Yan Zong's bridging technique. So if you watch the Wing Dummy, right, we have many different patterns, different lineage, and so forth, right? This is typical of the popular Wing Chun Yimon system, right? Zong Sau, structure hand bridging. This is Sanda, striking hand. Pull, this is grappling. Bridging, bridge, and strike. So you have multiple skill set, multiple technique on this. But if you understand my series, I'm breaking down the different skill sets. So right now, we're only going to point out the Q cell skill set from the Wing Dummy. It's not the set, it's not the form. Okay?
All right, everybody. We're going to talk about bridging with the dummy. We're going to start off with like pop down. You can actually pop the dummy. So you can pop downward, pop upward, pop upward. You can also, we're talking about Pak Sau. You could bridge with the dummy, We also have Pak Sau. I can bridge with the dummy, Pak Sau. Biu Sau. You even have a low Biu Sau, high Biu Sau, Pak Sau. Then you can get into where you can just train this. You can have Pak Sau, Biu Sau, Pak Sau, Pak Sau. Just practicing on your dummy. Practice bridging.
Okay, very good. So first lesson on Sanda, right? That punch. So after you got good with it, we have this wall bag. Okay. If you don't have a wall bag, then you can hit any bag. But this one is resistant against the wall, so it doesn't give. So it really packs the structure. Right? So that's for hitting skill. You can use the palm, whatever you want to use. Now for the arm, obviously we have the Mok Yan Zong. So as Sifu Stapleton just demonstrated, right? If you repeat yourself, okay? It's great conditioning. Now, martial arts is supposed to give you good health. If your structure is good, when you make impacts like this, it actually develops good, strong bone density. Now, if your structure is bad, it might create problems, right? So there is a health aspect for any impact that you do to your body if your mechanics is correct, okay? So today's lessons primarily is on the skill set of bridging Q Sau, Wing Chun Q Sau. Last time was on striking. And the particular focus is on Pak Sau, which is this 1-2-1 technique of Q Sau. Hopefully you guys understand a little bit better with the second lessons. First, I explain a little bit more details what is the gate, okay? In Chinese, we call this 9 gates, Gao Mun Da Fa. So 9 gates fighting methods. Lok Mun, San Mun. So this is a gate theory, okay? So the dragon part, you understand? Okay? Wing Chun, just like any other martial art, you need partners. So most of our lessons entails a partner to drill. But if you don't have a partner, this becomes your best partner. Now, what if you don't have a Mok Yan Zong? You know what? You find a tree branch. There's your zong right there, okay? So with that lessons on Sanda, first skill set. Today, Q Sau, second skill set. And then our next one will be going into basic grappling of Wing Chun. Now imagine Wing Chun being close quarter fight. Imagine you don't have grappling skills. That just doesn't make sense. Because a lot of Wing Chun say, oh yeah, let's say if I do a submission. Oh yeah, you're doing jujitsu. No, every ancient martial art have grappling. Grappling being the foundation of almost every art. So we do have our grappling formats. Okay? We call that Chi Q. Okay, so it's not Chi Sau, Chi Q. So I know that we have maybe about 10 minutes. If there's any more, maybe we can go into answering questions, and then I will give a final review on what we learned today. Okay?
Thank you, Meng Shifu. We have a viewer coming from Peru. Sanchez is from Peru. And he's also agreeing, he was saying Wing Chun could be applied in the sports system of Sanda, considering that gloves are used. Do you think that's a correct?
Oh, yes, for sure. Even today, I mean, in my school, we have a Sanda team. You know, our Sanda fighters are experienced, and they train with Coach Lee and so forth and so forth. And even with heavy gloves, even though we can't grab with the gloves, but like I said, the Pak Sau is very effective. You just basically smack the bridge away, and most of our technique of bridging can be used for Sanda. But like I said, most of the technique are meant to be used in the close quarter fighting. So that's definitely yes.
Yes, and we also have Oscar. He's from Bolivia. He's saying hello. That was a great section.
We're happy to see our international brothers and sisters.
Let's see.
So does he have a question? He's just saying
No,
hi.
he's just saying hi.
Okay.
Let me see if we have questions from Facebook. Oops.
I encourage people, since this is recorded, right? So if you are watching this for the first time, please have, if you have time, go back and watch the first lessons, because they're kind of could be watched and learned individually, because each lesson is a skill set on something different, but there's a sequence to it as well.
Okay. So do you have some few last words for our audience? We have people from all over the world, literally.
Yes, okay. Now, if you're a Wing Chun guy, right, for example, you know, we haven't covered Chi Sau yet. Let's put, this is more for the Wing Chun community, right? If you're new to Wing Chun, you probably won't be able to do the Chi Sau exercise, but if you're already doing Chi Sau, right? So, you know, lesson 1, right, we talk about Sanda. So if I roll the hand and there's an opening, direct hit, a direct hit, direct hit, those are what we call Sanda. You just go for the vital targets, right? You don't mess with anything else. Right? Now, if his bridge is good, right? I can't find an opening, right? Well, I have to use something extra, right? So this, if you notice, okay, Pak. So as we all, you know, he's got a good hand. So right, boom, the Pak Sau works the same in Chi Sau. If you look, this becomes a trap. One hand cover 2 hands. Okay. Now, in my experience, all the time we start to hitting each other, and then let's say if he start getting hit, and typically when people don't want to get hit, so they start grabbing my hand. As soon as he grabs, right, boom, the Pak comes out. So those two, they watch. Okay. If his hands are tight on the center, you can't really punch him. Okay, so you need to cover this hand, open up, right? So Pak, da, will be used this way. Right? Or when he grasps my hand, right, Pak is right there. So, okay, of course you can use Pak Sau actively whenever you create on the inside. This is inside Pak, right? This is outside Pak. So this is based on sensitivity. Now, this is more for the Wing Chun people. So in the future courses, I'll go into details, the actual beginning part of the sticking or Chi Sau. You have single hand, you got cross hand, parallel hand, double hand, you have Tan foot rolling, you have formless rolling. So all those are variation of Wing Chun, which is under the category of Chi Sau.
Got it. And we also have Ivan from Bolivia as well. And he is saying that he's having problem with legs. So he practiced being standing. Will that work?
Oh, yeah, no problem. Actually, Chi Sau, you can stand, you can move, you can sit, or even sit on the ground, okay? Because one of the higher level of training is to isolate the body where you can still have the power to strike when the structure is not there, okay? That kind of brings into the next topic. In one of the future series, we will actually cover the legs, the stances, the footwork, and the kicks of Wing Chun.
Okay. And I think we are wrapping up. Thank you, Mo Shifu, for a great session. And thank you for Sifu Scott. I know you are off screen right now, but thank you for assisting. And we will see you on the next session, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right, great. Okay, thank you, Cindy, again. Okay. Tiger, dragon. Dragon controls the tiger. Okay. This is your experience, and this is your understanding, the mind and the heart and the body. Okay. Wish good luck for everybody. I will see you next time.